Hey everybody, I see here. Talk about a few things. I just heard that Iran is trying to take out President-elect Trump. Two guys already caught. One guy supposedly is back in Iran. So what does that tell everybody? It tells you that Iran did not fear Joe Biden. They didn't fear Kamala Harris. They fear Donald Trump. And that's how it should be. A president is supposed to be feared and respected at the same time. Now, when President Trump was in office, we had peace in the Middle East. He took out ISIS in a very short time, while Obama couldn't even handle it. He got the Abraham Accords to be signed by multiple Muslim nations in an effort to install peace in the Middle East. Now, what is the one factor there is no peace is Iran. And Iran has all their little proxies. So I hate to say this, but it looks like Israel's going to have to sever the head of the snake and take out the Iranian government because, face facts, you could destroy the Houthis, the Hamas, all the rebels that Iran is funding. But until Iran is taken out, and it's not the people of Iran, no. It's the warmongers that are controlling the government. So you've got a very small target to go for, but in my estimation, that's what you have to do. Now, let's talk how to put this. I don't want to really be too delicate in this, but there is a major difference between Republican conservatives and Democrat liberals. And the biggest difference between the two is who's violent and who isn't. Now, during the Black Lives Matter issues, it was Democrat liberals that were burning buildings, burning police stations, burning cars, destroying property, looting, taking whatever they could get their hands on. But Republicans don't do that. Conservatives do. On January 6th, Trump said for the Republicans to peacefully march to the Capitol and protest. But as it has been supposedly uncovered, there were FBI plants within the crowd that stirred them up and had them enter the Capitol grounds. By doing that, a big fiasco happened. But if you look at all the videotape evidence of the people that were walking around inside the Capitol building itself, they were peaceful. The guy they called the Anon shaman or whatever, the guy with the buffalo horn hat, he was escorted by Capitol police officers all over the place. He wasn't violent. He was carrying an American flag, which he dearly loved and cradled. The only person to be murdered was a young lady who was shot in the head by a Capitol police officer while she was flanked on both sides by other Capitol police officers. She wasn't a threat, but he pulled a weapon and he shot her in the head. And then a year later, the man got promoted. So what does that tell you? Now, January 6th personnel have been, many of them have been arrested, still sitting in jail, never been charged. I mean, the only thing you can actually charge them with is trespassing. So here we have a young lady who was a veteran, was murdered by a Capitol Police officer for trespassing on government property, but that property is paid for by the very people that were walking inside of it. The government does not create jobs. The government does not magically whip up money. The government functions based upon how much the average person pays in their taxes. Now that President Trump is in office, hopefully we're going to see some major changes. First off, I'd like to see term limits for the House and the Senate. Face facts. If you spend more than 20 years in a job, that's crazy. I mean, civilians that are not associated with the government have no choice but to stay there because they have families to feed. But the politicians, they're getting paid good money, and half the time they're not actually working for that paycheck. They're sitting around complaining. That's not work. I mean, I used to sit around at the job, and I didn't get paid for my time. That's called break time. You don't get paid for that. Now, let's put it this way. If you work for the federal government in an elected position, congressman, senator, you cannot benefit from your position by cozying up to lobbyists. Me, that's my biggest beef, and that's the one I hope President Trump deals with, is to outlaw lobbyists within D.C. and they're not to have any contact with any elected official. Why? Simple. Good example, AOC, right? She barely had enough money to enter and get an apartment in D.C. after she was elected to Congress. That was in what, 2018? 2019, whatever. Now, what, over $10 million in the bank? It needs to be investigated where all this money come from, because on $174,000 a year salary, you do not accumulate millions in 5 years or 6 years. It's impossible unless somebody's giving you information or providing you with benefits. And that's all it is. So it's time to do away with the lobbyists. They are actually, that's why these congressmen and everything, they don't listen to the people. They listen to whoever provides that big paycheck. Now, speaking of paychecks, this one goes out to the people that work in different cities across the country, but I'm going to focus on New York State. When Bill de Blasio was mayor of New York State, $850 million disappeared from the state budget. Bill's wife was in charge, supposedly. Now, an investigation was begun. Bill supposedly asked the district attorney, who I was told was, at the time, Letitia James, to not bother with the investigation. They would do it in-house. I don't know how true that is, but the investigation was stopped. Letitia James went on to become the state's attorney general. She had mysterious benefactor. Alvin Bragg wound up becoming the district attorney, but from what I was told, he was the lead investigator into the missing $850 million. And now Alvin Bragg has got multi-million dollars in his account as well. So maybe it's time for cleaning house, and I hope President Trump allows Elon Musk to go hog wild and tear everything up. And with respect, other than starting with D.C., do New York. Icy out.